Bills Act and all the contents of it, the bill itself and what it will do are both available at downsizedc.org.
So will you be putting up the bills or attempting to put up bills that are going to be passed or preparing to be passed by the Congress and the Senate at Downsize Dc?
Yeah, and you know the question that I frequently get, I mean, we want to obviously change the playing field. We want to change the way Congress does business. Because even if we elected a Congress full of people with a desire, a zeal to reduce the size, scope, and power of the federal government, the way the rules are set up right now, it would be almost automatic that government would continue to grow. So we need to change the playing field, and we're going to continue to do this. Now, the question I frequently get, Mark, is that people want to know, well, how are we possibly going to get this passed? This seems like it's a Herculean or even impossible task. It's maybe too Pollyanna or idealist. We're going to do it because we're going to do what you spoke of earlier with the homeschooling story. We're going to clog all their channels of communication. We want to have people not only sending messages to our site, but we're going to encourage them to send faxes, make phone calls, and even appear in the congressman's office. And the more DC downsizers that do this nationwide, the stronger the demand is, the more effective we're going to be. I like to say that politicians are merely opportunists looking for a parade that's going somewhere, and they want to get in front of it. So at Downsize DC, we're building a parade for small government. Yeah,
it reminds me of an interesting thing. Someone who is very different than we are politically was Charlie Chaplin, and there was a movie in which he was walking down the street and a red flag had fallen off of the back of a truck that had wood sticking out of the back, so he stuck a red flag in it. So he went and picked up the red flag. It was running after the truck. You know, hey, you dropped your red flag. And then a parade came up of communists protesting behind him, and he was at the front, and then the police came and said, oh, here's the ringleader, and they dragged him off to jail. That was the beginning of, I think, the modern man. But anyway, you know, there's so many people out there that are disenfranchised. You know, we have only a certain percent of the population eligible to vote, and then a certain percent of them voting. So our leaders are getting elected by 30, 40, 50% of the population only. You know, what about the rest of the population, you know, the non-voter? Those are the people that are disenfranchised. So I hope that this would provide an opportunity for those people to be heard, because I don't think those people really feel that they're being heard through the voting process and through the Republicans and the Democrats.
Right.
So what are you going to do to reach out to people that, you know, may not vote, who aren't politically minded? Are you going to work on that? Do you have any ideas of what you can do?
Well, we want to, boy, you know, having the speeches going on in the background kind of really catches you off guard here.
It does, but don't worry about it. Just take your time.
Please repeat the question. I apologize.
You know, last time Harry Brown, who our presidential candidate, said he was getting great response on rock and roll stations. Okay, he was getting some of the best response from the people that generally don't vote.
Yes.
You know, and as a libertarian, I often say we kind of represent the non-voter. You know, so are you going to look for other places to advertise this besides the normal places you might see?
We have two fundamental goals, Mark, and thank you for rephrasing the question. Our number one goal is to build that parade that I was speaking of. We actually kind of look at it as an army. We want to have an army of people that is so large that it can't be ignored, that they have to pay attention to what we're saying. But beyond that, we want to take this large army and begin to channel the resources and capacities of that army into getting the message out everywhere, every day. And that means radio ads, that means TV ads, that means documentaries, that means other forms of communication as we're able to afford to disseminate them. But we want to get to the point where the message is being offered everywhere, every day. And by doing that, we believe we can begin to impact things. Thomas Paine said time makes more converts than reason alone. And what he meant by that, I believe, is that you have to repeat the message. It has to be said over and over again until the idea is familiar. You know, if you watch enough TV, you see the same commercial several times over. Particularly if you like sports, you'll see the same commercials all football season long. Why do these companies do that? Why do they spend so much money to replay the same message over and over and over again? Because they want it to be familiar to you. And our ideas, the ideas of limited small government, are not part of the debate. We have the red team, we have the blue team, they both come out, they bash each other a little bit, and then they completely switch seats, if another administration's in there, because what was good for the goose ain't necessarily good for the gander, and it, most people recognize that this is phony. They don't want to watch these shows or participate in it, and God bless them for tuning it out, because it doesn't work. But what we're trying to do is offer a nonpartisan alternative and a way of uniting everybody. Virtually everybody, Mark, that I asked the question, do you believe government is too big, too small, or just about the right size, says the government is either too big or way too big. And Downsize DC is offering them a chance to come together on that issue. Government's too big. Now, if we're doing a specific campaign and you don't agree with a specific thing we have to say, you don't have to participate in that campaign. Right. You can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to do it. But
because different people think that government is big, too big, in one place, and they might want to grow in another, and a little at another place, or a whole bunch in another place. So you're going to concentrate on places where people think government should be smaller, and work with people on those specific issues.
Exactly, and so if you can take and leave whatever issues you want in the course of being a DC downsizer, but we find that our thinking is contagious, it's infectious. Once people have an opportunity to interact with us and they learn our philosophy and how we look at the world, that then more often than not they become DC downsizers. They want to be a part of what it is that we're doing. And as we channel and grow that force, we want to get to the point. We're running ads in congressional districts all over the country and beginning to impact the congressman so that he has to respond to this force.
Yeah, you were talking about the blue team and the red team. It seems that now we're in an era where the team is what matters rather than the philosophy. It seems that both sides are abandoning their philosophy, and we're ending up with just a win for the team.
Right.
And that means that I think we're getting even more government growth, not even along ideological lines, but simply just whatever growth they can.
We're trying to encourage people to leave behind the two P's and pick up the other P. The personalities and partisanship, leave those behind. Don't erect idols anymore. Don't go for the cults of personality. Just because the guy's on your side doesn't mean he's right. Stop and question that. Go instead for the other P, which is the principles. What is it that you believe should be the nature of government? Do you believe that you have the right to be free? Do you believe that, someone just asked me this week, they said, you flew out here to California. They said, when you got on the plane, did you suspect there were any other terrorists on that plane? And if so, would you have gotten on it? And of course you wouldn't get on the plane. And the point that he was attempting to make was that I trusted everyone on that plane, even though I had never met them. And he said that was an act that was very libertarian, if you will. And that's the way we look at the world. We believe that most people are hardworking, conscientious, they pay their taxes, and they're raising family. They have goals and dreams and aspirations. And those people deserve to be free. And the actions of a few, particularly our politicians, shouldn't be an excuse for taking away our liberty. And so at Downsize DC, we want to give people a vehicle, an outlet, one that it can't be hampered and regulated the way they have campaigns, one that doesn't divide people. You have to pick one or the other. Just listen, this is the principle that we're trying to advocate. Please join us.
So you're a 50c3 nonprofit organization?
The Downsize DC Foundation is 501c3, which for your audience means that contributions to it are tax deductible and has a strictly public education function. Most of what
nonpartisan?
Yes, most of what we've been talking about during this particular interview has been downsizedc.org, which is a 501c4. Those contributions are not tax deductible because we engage in political lobbying. But the two organizations do work in a kind of almost a partnership, if you will. They're very friendly to each other, have similar staff, and obviously the same mission, which is to reduce the size, scope, and power of the federal government.
Now, when we're here talking about less government, more civil liberties, however you want to phrase it, less Big Brother, however you want to talk about it, a lot of people out there are going to say, well, why would you want that? They're going to say, these people are crazy. I mean, government is good. It does good things for people, and yes, we have to pay some taxes. Why wouldn't we want the government out there doing more good? So I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
I appreciate
Defend
that.
yourself.
I would say, let's assume if anybody that feels that way, I would ask them the following proposal. Let's say that they just won the lottery. Mark, you just won the lottery.
Okay.
You've got $1 million now, okay? But there's a catch to this lottery. Half of what you win has to go to some cause that will help the poor, okay? We want to help the poor with the lottery winnings, so you have to designate where the money goes. Now, will you give it to a private charity, or will you give it to the local bureaucracy, the state bureaucracy, to help them deal with the poor? They're used to dealing with the poor every day. They have professionals on staff. Where will you direct your money? Well, everyone, almost everyone, is going to choose the nonprofit organization
Right.
because they know, number one, that that their money is going to be spent more efficiently.